Hi there, back again. Sorry for that brief interruption. I'm in the workshop of my studio, so sometimes I have people come into the other room, just literally members of the public, and there's a bit of an interruption. Doesn't happen very much, but it does happen from time to time. So to resume with this catch up about what I've been doing, when I feel a bit blocked about being able to proceed with a project, I just spend my time just printing stuff, and often that'll spark the next thing, the next project. So I've just been through my stencil collection, and I took out some of my favorites, predominantly this square tile. I've been working with this one a lot, and I found one of my dark red cotton sheet in this case, and just started printing on it. Now I do these prints in all sorts of ways, and I often do over prints. I experiment a lot with wetting the background, printing on the dry background, doing different things with the stencils so that I don't just get clean straight print patterns. This one here, for example, I'll just go in there a little bit closer on. It's quite subtle. It's been overprinted in violet, and it's it's quite a nice effect up close. But it's not real clear. Okay, so there we go. Square tiles. Another piece I took out which already had some markings on it. This one once again is a multiple overprint. Now the background of this, which has these markings on it, is made from one of my pressure plate boards. I place these under the fabric, and when the roll is filled with paint, I roll over it and get these patterns. I have a dozen perhaps of these pressure plate boards that I can use to make overall patterns, and then that's been set aside for perhaps a year, I think, that piece printed with the fluorescent orange, and I've picked it up to make some of these prints. Whoops, that one holding hands. Yeah, so there's various different versions here. This pale one up here is actually, I've just flipped the stencil over and pressed it down to absorb the paint that was already on the surface. Okay, and yeah, here is a fragment that I might incorporate in this colour set. That another garment's been cut out of, which once again is the pressure plate markings. Okay, so these pieces, once again on the red sheet, I've been using extracting colour with bleach, just ordinary household bleach. This is a cotton sheet, works really well. So placing the stencil on the cotton sheet, I've filled the roller with bleach, rolled over it, left it for a couple of minutes, and the colour has come out. And in several of these I've overprinted them once again. This one's been overprinted with blue. This one's been overprinted twice with aqua blue and the yellow. Another piece which has got prints on it from my hand cut stencils. This will probably have some coloration put into it eventually. A strip printed with stripes. Now this is a plate that I use for the stripe printing. These cotton strings are filled up with wet paint, and then I just go along the textile like this, pressing down, printing. So there's that stripe. And with this one, it's a more complex version of that. Firstly, I've used it's been tied, and some of the bleach used on it once again, which has made these spots, and then I've over printed it again with the painted string. Okay, this piece here is just something that was failed experiment. It's just a piece that's gone into the collection to be recycled in some way, and I may possibly just eventually, when I'm patchworking, I'll probably just cut this up into random sections and incorporate it in some of these textiles. So I've just left it in this pile together so that I may use it. Okay, now this big piece here has got multiple prints all over. Once again, just pretty much experimental stuff. Some of these are printed on wet backgrounds, some dry backgrounds, and many multiple overprints. Also, in some places I've used these water-soluble crayons to add a bit more colour. This print here, down the side here, has got this blue water-soluble crayon in various places there. And once again, this will just be a piece that gets torn up and incorporated into some sort of patchwork eventually. Right at the moment, I'm playing around with this piece, and you can see up here I've got some bright primary colours which I've over painted these background stencils, and I've started to work some other colour into it with a brush, a bit of that aqua blue there, and I'm going to tear off that part and just resume working on some of these prints down here, because I'm going to overpaint these, I think, with some dark stuff suitable to tie in with those other textiles I've shown you. Now the flickering hobgoblin is back in my computer, so I'm going to shut down for a while and hope the goblin goes away.